I call you Daddy Davies when I see you play on TV.
Daddy Davies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you say? Is that okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's okay.
You like that? Can I call you Daddy all the time?
If you want. Come on, Daddy Davies. You know the vibes. And through it all, we'll play the way we want to. With Big Edge pasta glue. Whether I'm right or wrong, it's Big Ange ball. So you can keep your Pochettino, Conte and Mourinho, and even Christian Gross. Because everywhere we go, I'm loving Big Ange instead. Come on. Come on. How's everyone doing today? The vibes are immaculate. Oh, shout out United Spurs. Fresh off of one of the best weeks Tottenham Hotspur have had in years. Probably the best under Ange Postecoglou. But I digress. We got a lot of stuff to cover. Not that much time. I'm trying StreamYard out today, so we'll see how that goes. Honestly, I couldn't be asked to edit and kind of take time afterwards. I'm a pretty busy schedule right now. So let's try and get this all in one take. I think I got an hour and 15 of free recording left, so I'd like to be able to use it once more. So yeah. So it's been a while since I last talked. We last talked. It was before the Crystal Palace result, I think. And how we needed to I was speaking then how we needed to solidify our form. And but since then, we've turned it around. So let's keep those vibes high and we'll dive right into the Manchester City game. So Manchester City. Tottenham 2, Manchester City 1. And Manchester City exiting the round of the Carabao Cup. Tottenham Hotspur advancing to the final 8 quarterfinals. Making our first quarterfinal appearance. I believe this is our first quarterfinal appearance since Pochettino? Wow, because I don't think Conte got very far. I don't believe Mourinho did either. Wow. How about that? Into the knockout rounds of the cup. Just nothing really much to dwell on other than a great performance. A great performance by the lads. 2-1. Spellbinding first 30 minutes of that game. Absolutely unreal. Going on the score sheet ahead within the first 6 minutes. Then doubling with a Papi Matasar 20-yard, 30-yard screamer off of a set piece routine, catching Manchester City out. And then after that, it was back to the wall, grafting, really relying on our transitional play and the speed we have in behind, and really drawing Manchester City onto us and hitting us on the counter, hitting them on the counter. And I think we found a nice balance between defensive and transitional football, because if you're going to play defensive football, you need an outlet. And I think that Timo Werner provided a world-class outlet. And that brings me to my first point against Manchester City. Timo Werner. Turbo Timo. It's Werner on the dance floor. Everybody knows in the Spurs community that has talked to me that I'm a big backer of Timo Werner. But unfortunately, there is no denying that this overall has been a failed experiment by Ange Postecoglou. Or Project Timo, whatever you want to dub it. This has been a stinky project. The lad couldn't score in a brothel, unfortunately. And I used to say that about Brennan Johnson, but he's turned it around. Turbo Timo Weenie. Turbo Timo. I could actually see us cutting his contract short in January. His loan spell short. He's already exercising his options and looking at other options. His agent has come out and Tottenham come out and said as well that we we wouldn't be against terminating his loan early. And see, I don't see why the club would say that if they had no other option and no other reason to do that. So I think the writing's on the wall. We bid him farewell. And in normal circumstances, I wouldn't care because he's such a fast, dynamic player that he provides. You can't argue that he does provide something on the field. His ability to drag defenders out and use that spacing behind and really drive it as fullback. I mean, it's world class. I mean, there's only so many players on the left hand side that can consistently get past their man, exploit that space, get in behind at a 9 out of 10 rate he does. But he's so wasteful in front of goal. And unfortunately, on a system that relies on our wing play and finishing chances that we create, yeah. And he's at 170,000 a week or 160,000 pounds a week. That's just unacceptable. It's eating up our wage budget. And though we are in a financial situation where we don't really have to worry about finances, it's not in a good habit to overpay players that are under contributing. Just ask Chelsea. Especially with nowadays modern financial rules and how fair play works and how tight everything needs to be on the budgets. But that doesn't knock his professionalism. Any normal player, any average player would have dropped their head and maybe blamed the manager, blamed the system, took a lack of accountability and kind of hid. But Timo bought his time behind the scenes. Still remain positive. You can see that in the locker room videos and that funny Halloween video that came out. You can see the guy is vibes. Total professional. Clicks well with the squad. But unfortunately, it's not there. It's just not there. That being said, his professionalism comes through where he kept trying, he kept training, he kept himself fit, he kept himself in match fitness, he kept himself elite in that level. So when he did present the chance in a must-score moment against Manchester City in a cup, he rose to the occasion. So if anything, we can take anything from this failed loan experiment is maybe that the success we got from him was getting over the line against Manchester City. And for that, we condemn you. We praise you. And Turbo Timo, thank you. Thank you. Another touch point I want to touch against City is Dragusin. Enter the Dragon, Radu Dragusin. Boy, has his agent been chatty since signing. And I mean that right from signing. I didn't think he played for the team yet, played for his shirt yet. When he, I don't want to say historically, because nothing has happened of note up to yet, but when he came out in the press and he was quite vocal on how he chose Tottenham Hotspur over Bayern Munich those many months ago, claiming that he would earn his first team place. And this is before playing a game for Tottenham Hotspur. Claiming that he is to use Tottenham Hotspur as a stepping stone to show his world-class ability and to attract the likes of the attention of the Real Madrids, the Barcelonas, the Parises of the world. Now, I don't know about you, but when I go into a brand new job, I don't tell my boss, hey, this is a sweet job, but I'm only going to be here for 5 months. I'm really just using his to buy the time so I get my next best job. And it's professionalism, and it is, everyone has careers at the end of the day. I get that, but come on, have a little bit of tact. And his agent also comes out constantly saying his client needs to have more playing time. Trust me, you don't have to talk to me about playing time. I've been a starter my whole life, every club I've played on. And right now I'm in a position where I am my own Radu Dragusin on my own team. I'm riding the bench. It's frustrating. It really eats away at you sometimes. I get it. But there's certain ways you handle things in life. And coming out behind your manager's back in the media, constantly questioning the tactics and questioning the club, and coming out in the media knowing how savagely twisty, narrative-y the English media is, I think it's classless by his agent. So I'm thinking maybe he needs to join CSA base with the rest of the Tottenham lads and really just maybe give himself a pay rise in the process. That being said, it's amazing to see how success and welcome to winning here. We'll kind of step away from Tottenham and just talk about this ideology of how redemption and the process of making up for your wrongs is so powerful, because we're no longer talking about the Radu Dragic who got himself sent off in the 10 minutes at home against Karabakh, or the Radu Dragic who was left wanting against Newcastle, getting turned inside out by Isak. Shout out Isak, by the way. What a header against Arsenal. One of my Arsenal mates today or yesterday on the way home, I was giving him a ride home, has the audacity to say he was offside, or he didn't get to see the tape back, it was offside. Shout out Buka. Boss Buka. What a goal by Isak. Really tearing apart the North London clubs this year. So maybe he's on our radar. Maybe we need some more Swedish blood in our ranks. Gyökeres scoring a hat-trick against Manchester City today.
Power off.
Okay, well, I guess that turned off. No, Radu Dragic, forgetting about his mistakes and his missed chances back 2 or 3 months ago, coming on and really, really imposing himself against Manchester City. Dominant in the air. Good all around game. Really bullying the likes of Ruben Diaz. Centurion winners of quadruples and doubles and I don't think actually won the quadruple, did they? The trebles. There's a clip reminding me of him. Oh, sorry, this speaker really threw me out. Ugh. There's a clip of him that stands out to me, is when we're defending a corner against Vicario, and Ruben Diaz is trying to assert himself into the box, and Dragic grabs him, manhandles him, pushes him out of the way. Then it clicks to him. Wow, I just manhandled Ruben Diaz. And Ruben Diaz was a little bit taken back by it, like, who the hell are you touching me like that? Because there's a certain level of ego and arrogance that comes to these players when they've won multiple club honors and country honors, where it's almost an air of bulletproof invincibility, where I am above you, you are lesser. Don't talk to me, don't look at me, don't even breathe the same air as me. You stay away from me because I am better. And for Dragic just to disregard that completely and grab him and push him and shove him aside. That being said, once he kind of realized he was a little bit red in the face, he's like, oh wow, but he held his ground, and as he would, he's a 6'4" man bun, absolutely beautiful specimen of a center back. Once he's more confident, I think we'll see a different level of Dragic. So impressive by Dragic. And the last thing against City is how our transitional play really was world class. Dejan Kulusevski comes out after, man of the match in my opinion. Mentioned how he personally loves his game against Manchester City, and how whenever he plays them, it's always a motivation, because he wants to prove to the world that he is the best in his position. One of the best in his position, if not the best. Yeah, I think that's what he said, best in his position. Backed up by Pep Guardiola, who in my opinion is the best football manager, modern day football manager. Loves Kulusevski, absolutely loves Kulusevski. Kulusevski, brilliant. That's all I have to say. Brilliant, excellent. Words of Pep. And how Pep also commented on how Tottenham Hotspur have fast transitional play that his team is proven yet unable to deal with. And that's not just this game. That's the game away at the Etihad, when we were starting the likes of Emerson Chicken Royale and Daddy Davies at the back. Still nicking a 3-3 draw. Our unrelenting press, the way we go, the we never stop mentality, right until the 95th minute, where Brendan Johnson ends Kyle Walker's Manchester City first-team career. I don't think he's returned to the first team since then. Twining him inside and out, chipping a ball back post for Dejan to dunk on him. Absolute amazing display by the lads. 2-1 against Manchester City. An inevitable goal against the champions. I mean, you're going to concede a goal against City. I'm not faulting the boys too much on that, but the way we held on and the resilience you've shown, and almost, it's not done yet. We haven't won a trophy yet. We're not quite in the final or semifinal or quarterfinal yet, but this is the big step into taking off that label of Spursy off of our name, where we inevitably shoot ourselves in the foot. We'll be in a winning position. We'll be in the league. We'll win. We'll come in third in a 2-horse race. you know the history. I don't have to explain it to you. But this is a huge step forward, not just in our season, but in our club trajectory going forward. So our game versus City, 2-1 in the cup, done. So that would be enough, you'd think. Big win. Let's just rest on our laurels. No. Ange Postecoglou does not stop. Tottenham Hotspur do not stop. This Ange train has left the station. Next stop, Aston Villa. Oh, what a team. Unai Emery. Good evening. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, doesn't play very good today. The Arsenal reject. Trusted to take over the process from countless. Was it right after Wagner? I'm not too sure. I can't remember. I don't care. Cast aside by Arsenal, sent over, won multiple titles with Villarreal in the Champions League. Was it Villarreal? It had to be Villarreal. I don't know. Europa Cup. Great Spanish manager. Great way of playing. And what they've done at Aston Villa has been nothing next to exceptional. Oh, I really don't want to edit that out. Let's keep it going. I'm going to check the standings live right now, so I don't have a point to back up. Champions League standings table. Where are we at here? Top 6 in the Champions League, leading the Champions League for the first 3 game days. Unreal side, bringing their team from mid-table averageness to top 6 security. Great job he's done. A banana skin for the Tottenham Hotspur. Aston Villa roll up after rotating 8 of their 11 starters, ready to take points at the White Hart Lane Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. We start very shakily. Let me get some water. Reset here. We start very shakily, almost deer in the headlights. Whether that was a hangover from exerting that much energy against Manchester City, because we exerted energy. Dominic Solanke collapsing to the ground after the game, literally falling on its hands and knees and unable to hold or support himself. Running right to the end, Papi Madasar covering every blade of grass. Davies coming on for his first professional minutes of the season. Unreal. That's not true. He played against Coventry. But the levels of, you talk about like redlining athletes, professional athletes, where it's like you push them to the red line and then they need a certain amount of recovery to come back from that effort exerted. Like, for example, if a marathon runner runs and pushes himself into the red zone, you're going to have to take a couple weeks off to kind of recover. Or a professional football player is going to need at least a week to recover from that injury. But we got back on the field Sunday, a mere, 78 hours, 78, 3 days, 4 days after that game against City. We were a bit leggy, very leggy. We were without Radu Jagisson, who pulled up in that Manchester City game. We'll get on the injuries in a second here that are piling up now. But a slow start. We weren't playing horrible, I would say. We weren't playing our best football. We were just kind of there. We were filling up spaces. We were dominating possession. We were imposing ourselves, but we weren't doing it with conviction. You can get in the right places, but if you're not convicted and you're not, what's the word here? Conviction? Yeah, there you go. If you're not conviction, you don't have conviction in your actions, you're not going to need any results. And whether the players thought that this level of effort was enough to get past Aston Villa, I'm not too sure. But Aston Villa are a greatly coached team, exceptionally coached team, and they took advantage of just a lapse in concentration, and they scored a goal, great goal. Morgan, I believe it was. And they're up 1-0 away from home at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. And they defend so well and play a 4-4-2 hybrid, which turns into a 5-4-1 without the ball. And we saw a lot of that at the end of the half, where they'd sit in a bank of 5 and 4 and just tempt Tottenham into coming in and breaking them apart. Shout out Matty Cash. I held some animosity against Matty Cash for his injury of Matt Doherty back in the Mourinho days, where Matt Doherty was absolutely lighting the league up, getting goals and assists, and was the informed right wing back of the season. And Matty Cash just comes through the back of him and breaks his ACL, like knowing full well what he was doing, doubling up the same thing at our last home game against Aston Villa last season, doing the same thing in Bentancur, taking out his ankle ligament, just absolute cynical foul. Studs right at the soft spot where your ankle connects to your Achilles and just took him out, injuring another player. So believe you me, I was apprehensive when I saw Heung-min Son running at him. But kudos to Matty Cash in that first half. He had Son in his pocket, pressuring him. When Son would take the ball, he wouldn't be able to advance it because the pressure was too tight. Would literally force Son all the way back up to his own halfway line to set the ball back. Thought, I don't want to attempt his first name. My buddy Brad, big Everton fan, will know exactly the quality of Onana. What a man mountain. He's 6-something, some huge, big, burly, classic center defensive mid, doubling up on that right-hand side. Right-hand side for Aston Villa. Seemingly just imposing himself on every tackle, covering that byline, doubling up on the fullback, really solidifying. And I thought he absolutely dominated that first half. We if he can pivot with the ball, maybe that's a good replacement or a good 6 to go after. But I don't see Aston Villa prizing him away from. I don't see us prizing him away from Aston Villa. So yeah, good performance by Aston Villa in the first half, and then the momentum switched in the second half. Honestly, I thought our lack of creativity in the final third was going to cost us. Madison was not in the starting lineup for the third straight game. I thought that playing with the 2 10s of Madison and Kulusevski would bail us out. I thought for sure we would see Madison come in on the second half, but no. And stuck to his guns, give him a bullocking at halftime. And you could tell that right from the first ball, almost forcing Martinez to come out of his box, sliding to claim it, that Spurs meant business. This was a different Tottenham Hotspur. And literally our first attack down the left-hand side, we saw a different Son. We saw a Son with courage and conviction. And you know what? I don't think he gave two rats about what was going to happen to him when he took on Cash. Overlapped by Udogie, which stretched the play, which gave Son about another half yard to whip a beautiful cross in, world-class cross to the back post, in between the center back and Martinez, unable to react. And there was Brennan Johnson and Dominic Solanke sliding in at the back to tap home. And then just like that, the game is level. The game is reset, not even a mere 5 minutes after the halftime. And ever since then, it was one-way traffic for Spurs. Don't get me wrong, that Aston Villa proved more than able to create their own chances and create opportunities going forward. They tested Vicario lots, which I don't blame the first goal on Vicario. It came off Bentancur. It was bobbling in the box. The narrative going forward is going to be Tottenham Hotspur is still vulnerable on crosses and set pieces. I do believe that Vicario needs to dominate his box a bit better. My prime example was Liverpool before they got Alisson, and how they too dealt with their own problems defending high balls into the box, and that overall 12 yards around the goalie. You could argue the whole 18-yard box should be dealt by the goalie, but you can see how Alisson has no problem coming up and imposing himself when he's on it. When he's on it, he's a big guy, takes up a lot of space. Apparently, he's good in both boxes. So, yeah, I think Vicario is tall enough. He's big enough. He's got big enough frame. He's got the mentality. He just needs to grow into it. And he's still the right side of 20. Pardon me, the right side of 30. So he's got time to improve. But much like Tottenham Hotspur, there's a lot of pieces that are growing, and it is a project, and we're growing together. This whole entity, this whole life form that is Tottenham Hotspur is growing. You see the likes of Brennan growing, Dominic Solanke growing, Kulusevski growing into his role, Dragusin growing, Emerson, pardon me. Oh, I got Emerson on the brain for some reason. Oh, that's gross. I got to wash that out. Udogie, Spence. Now Vicario needs to grow. And we're headed in the right way, but you have to be accountable. And he needs to control his box better. I have written down here Onana, Sar, Bele. our Sar boy from Senegal. What a game. I thought that Onana did start the game dominant and really impose himself. But much like a tortoise and a hare, it doesn't matter how you start, it's matter how you finish. And I thought that Pape Matar grew into the game and inevitably used his stamina and his endurance to really overpower and dominate that midfield in the second half. Led the most in recovery tackles in any Premier League game this season from any midfielder, which is amazing. It covers every blade of grass. And I mentioned you can catch me a lot at the Irish Hotspur, by the way. Shout out Dave. We'll get him on a channel here once we grow past 100. Him and Jacko, great people. But I mentioned on the pregame that Pape Matar this season in form is giving me the impression of N'Golo Kanté before he made that big move to Chelsea. That season where he put in the work, when he was getting noticed, when people were realizing the engine, the technical ability, and the defensive awareness that he had to use all those abilities and really dominate the midfield. And now he's popping up with goals. So almost Patrick Vieira-esque, going box to box, cleaning up. And the lad's only 23. So when he grows into his body still, he's a big frame, a little bit spindly. He's still strong. The ceiling is high for Pape Matar. And I have here Daddy Davies. Oh, Benjamin Davies. Such a divisive figure. Some would argue that he's been at the club way too long. Some sub-average replacement for Danny Rose and never quite rose to his potential. Once Pochettino man, somehow surviving 3-4 reigns of leadership, changing in the club, and really just unexceptional. Some would call him 6 out of 10 Davies. 6 out of 10 being the epitome of his averageness, where he goes out and he gives it all for the club, but it's just not good enough. I would argue we have a consummate professional on our hands that always have kept himself in match shape, elite match shape, never had to worry about injuries, always was reliable to come on when needed to, called upon. We know what Benjamin Davies is going to give you. He's not going to give you world-class pace. He's not going to give you world-class aerial ability. I still remember Cristiano Ronaldo, a 38-year-old Cristiano Ronaldo, out-jumping him. And not just out-jumping him, he dunked on him. I'm talking about balls to the face, teabag, over him, back post at the lane. Yeah. But what he is going to give you is he's going to give you discipline. He's going to give you leadership. He's going to give you a locker room presence. He's going to give you a calm mind and a role model for those young players that are coming in right now, where you see a player that has not lit the league alight by any means. He's not lit our own squad alight. He doesn't even, I think he gets maybe an average of 3,000 minutes a season, if that. So what is that? Like, that is nothing. Maybe even 1,000, 1,500 minutes a season. That might be a little too much generous too. Genius. Got his coaching badges. Using all that free time to get his education. Humanitarianism. The man exudes class between the political rivalry between Wales and England, and still is able to perform. And he came on not only against Aston Villa and against inform one of the best strikers in Europe right now in Duran, pocketed Ali Watkins. That goal, a beautiful goal by Dominic Solanke, which we'll touch on, started from Benjamin Davies stepping up into the midfield and making a challenge that I don't see Van de Ven doing very much. I don't see Romero does it, and Romero's a psycho. We all know what Romero can do. But knowing quite well that if we lost that tackle and he missed it, Ollie Watkins was in behind. We didn't have the pace going. But he went in with courage, he went in with conviction, and won that ball. And not only did he win it, he set up the play, won it, distributed it off, left-footed, wizard. Absolutely beautiful. Came on against Manchester City in the Cup. Similar performance. Honestly, I was kind of hoping Holland would come on. I'd really like to see the Holland-Davies matchup. Thank God Pep didn't bring Holland on. And yeah, Davies off of a 7 out of 10 performance both games. I'm confident going forward with him in our lineup. We'll talk about our injuries in a second. And Dominic Solanke, last thing to touch on against Aston Villa. without a shot on target in 6 league games. You're starting to divide the fan base where you spent $60 million on an informed striker who scored 15 league goals the season before in a struggling Bournemouth. Shout out Bournemouth, by the way. What a last 2 weeks by Bournemouth. Salute to whatever that manager is doing. I don't know his name. I know he's a Spanish-speaking manager. I know he plays an attacking, revolutionary type of football. But big up the Cherries. Big up Christie. Big up Semenyo. What a team. What a team. Way to do the double in the top two. But Dominic Solanke, absolute brilliant lad. His pressing, his running from the front. He leads the league in attacking turnovers and presses actions in the final third. He carries us. He drops in the half pockets and picks up the ball. He links up play. He's tall. He's physical. He's dominant. He's very aggressive. And he presses, and he presses right up until the last minute where he doesn't give those center backs any moment of rest. That must be so frustrating when you're already losing a game and you want to catch your breath. You want a moment of calm, but you still have the opposing striker pressing at 3-1 at home, winning the ball back in the 94th minute. Kudos to Dominic. What a beautiful chip to sit down the World Golden Glove winning, World Cup winning Emi Martinez, who is known and famous for his shithousery. And that's just a touch on Emi Martinez. It was really interesting to see how quickly he chose paths from wasting time in the 34th, 50th minute, 60th minute, taking his time with the goal kicks, slowing it down, falling down, to getting the ball going really quickly again once his team was losing. No, a beautiful chip. I thought he was going to go around him. Dinked it from about 18 yards up, over and under. Hello, goodbye. Archer celebration. And then copping off a brilliant run by Richarlison, who we'll get into in a second, slotting at home, making a double, and earning the man of the match. So shout out Dominic Solanke. If you can't see what he brings to the club, give your head a shake. $16 million is more than just goals, and now he's adding goals to his game. Let's go. So yeah, Aston Villa, done and dusted. 4-1 Tottenham. Tell me, 30 minutes. Let's fly through this because I really want to get some dinner in me. Just hit chest and back of the gym, so I'm a little bit. So Galatasaray, that's our next test. Honestly, we are third in the Europa League, one of the last undefeated teams. We're actually just kind of walking through this competition, which is good. It gives our chance to rotate some players in, develop them, give our stars a much needed rest. So I'm predicting a heavy rotated squad for this. Let's touch on our injuries that we're missing. So Romero, 7 to 10 days with a big toe ligament injury in his big toe. Nothing bone, nothing separated, nothing strange. Just an injury from an impact injury from him absolutely psychopathically going through that tackle on Morgan. It was quite a battle to watch, by the way. A championship level player taking his chance in the Premier League with nothing to fear, and Romero attempting to humble the guy, a World Cup winner. It was great. It was a great battle. Romero came off second best, I would say. Actually, they both came off injured. So, but 7 to 10 days. People are frustrated because he is going to fly away to Argentina and still represent Argentina internationally next week. I think Argentina are shrewd with their stars. I know that a lot of their country revolves around football and the treatment of their players. And same thing with Boca Juniors, the biggest club in the country there, is that it's a life of luxury, earned luxury. It's us and them. I think this is just an excuse for Romero to go on a nice vacation, get away from the rain in London. It's turn into a sleety, kind of dreary temperatures in London. Get him in some sun, get him drinking some matcha, get him vibing up at the short shorts, lying in a sun beach somewhere. I don't care. As long as he doesn't touch any minutes of the pitch for Argentina, he can go there. He can wear a training bib. He can sit on the bench, be that locker room presence that he is. Hang out with Martinez, the butcher, do what he needs to do. I could care less, but just don't play for Argentina. Mickey Van de Ven, he's out 2 to 3 weeks with a grade 1 hamstring strain, relatively minor injury. I think it's more of a precautionary injury than anything. I think he felt some tightness from fatigue and he didn't want to stretch it. I think just the apprehension of his previous injury from last season and how much that affected him. I think it was a bit of fear reaction, because for those who did see the injury live, he was crying. I think it was just fear of like, oh my God, am I going to miss another quarter of a season of all the hard work I put in, and our team is flying right now. But he's fine. 2 to 3 weeks. He's going to be back after international break. Honestly, I wouldn't play him against City. I would wait for the cup game against United. Give him some minutes off the bench leading up to that. But that's the game you have to attack fully. Richarlison. So I used to play in this football league in Vernon, BC. Shout out Vernon, BC. And the indoor session was 7v7. And I remember hitting a volley from my Italian winger, cuts in. And we didn't do throw-ins, we did kick-ins because the pitch was smaller. So he sends me across over my right-hand shoulder. I hit it on the volley, it goes top bin, so I'm like 20 yards out. And I hit the Pomba. Man, the Pomba. More like the plumber. I don't know. This guy, what do we have to say about Richarlison? 60 million. Down the drain. Richarlison scores again. Overall frustrating. Like, don't get me wrong, he's a quality striker. That goal against in the World Cup, flick, volley, almost Dele Alli-esque. His 2 headers against Olympique Marseille in the Champions League. His goal chipping Alisson at the way at the Kop end in Liverpool. His banger against Everton. 2 goals against Everton. 3 goals against Everton. His juggling against Brandon Johnson against Nottingham Forest. The guy has highlight reels of world-class ability, but he's just not fit enough. I don't understand. Like, you're a professional athlete. Maybe it's just the Brazilian thing. I don't want to come out there and start raising like controversy like with Neymar and everything, but it's like, yo, how are you injured this much? You have to take a look at the sports scientist at our club. You have to take a look at the medic and the nutritionalist and ask yourself, why are you injured? And why can't you string a consecutive run of games together? Is it because of the way you play? Is it because you're constantly inviting 50-50 challenges? So he basically was put through one-on-one with his left back. And all he did was play a square ball. And he did his hamstring. It's like walking up some stairs. And you're like, I don't know. I shouldn't be laughing. But at this point, if you don't laugh, you cry. So Richarlison, left hamstring strain, to be announced. We're waiting for Ange Postecoglou's presser tomorrow against Galatasaray to see what's up. Wilson Odobert, he's experienced a dramatic setback in his hamstring injury. He's expected early 2025. And Heung-min Son is match to match at this point. I have no problem with Heung-min Son if he takes time off. Like I said, I'd rather not play him until the Manchester United game, the cup game. We've proven that we don't need him to get across the line against the big team. So as long as he's there at the end of the season to lift a cup healthy, we're fine. So yeah, that brings us to a couple points, and then I want to touch on Ipswich and maybe give you a predicted lineup and then get the hell out of here. Almost 40 minutes now. So Ange Postecoglou is glowing and in good form, rightly so. To grow a beautiful garden, you've got to handle some fertilizer. Choice word being fertilizer there. And this is where we welcome to winning and the welcome to the ideology of success, is that you don't go through the hard times. You don't go through good times without going through the hard times. And you don't build something beautiful without going through some shit. And it's true. I'm personally going through some shit right now, where my new transitional period in life is like, hey, how much do you want this? How much do you want to achieve your goals? Are you going to sacrifice? Are you going to get up early? Are you going to stop eating that bad food? And I'm not even eating that bad. Just gotta get rid of like pasta and bread and all that yummy stuff. And that fertilizer that he's talking about are those games. The Brighton game, where we capitulated. Our young, inexperienced squad folded under pressure. The Fulham away game last season, where a rotated squad wasn't able to deal with a cup result. What did we do? We learned from that. I'll touch on that in a second. Same thing with City at home in the cup last year against FA Cup in the City game. We played almost exact same scenario, a rotated City squad, and we're unable to deal with them. The Crystal Palace game and the Chelsea away game last season, where we didn't even play handball. We didn't even play football that game. We just kind of showed up, got off the bus, went to Stamford Bridge, kicked the ball around. I'm not going to say what I'm going to say, but it just wasn't good. You got to go through those to learn, especially a young squad. What did we do? We went and improved the second team. We went and bought like-minded young players that are proving and biting at the bit, chomping at the bit to take their chances. And now we have a bench that when these players come on, our system doesn't change, our quality doesn't drop off. It's the same cog, different cog, same machine, like for like replacements on a lot of positions. Job's not finished. Job's not finished. It's like the late Kobe Bryant said. Why are you not celebrating yet, Ange? What's going on? Got my eyes set on a ceiling that's not even made. What do we need? I didn't even want to talk about this, but we need like a left back to cover Udogie. We need a left-sided center back to age out Ben Davies. I'm looking at Hincapié at Leverkusen. I'm looking at a world-class speedster at the back line that can help take the stress off of Mickey Van de Ven's hamstrings. We're going to touch on that in a second here. We need a world-class striker, a world-class attacker, because Heung-min Son is at the twilight of his career. We need a succession plan for that. We have a Dominic Solanke, but that took us 2 years to replace Kane. Now we need a Son replacement. So, yeah. So, nice quote by Ange there. We never stop. And that ideology separates the wheat from the chaff. It separates the like-minded people who want to build and buy into that to those who'll just sulk away. No, nothing against Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, but his ego, and maybe rightly so, dictated that the effort he put into his career up that far, he's a starting player. And don't get me wrong, I've played with those players before that have such ability where it's like, yo, I'm not riding the bench every single game. I am going to go to a club where I'm starting and I'm respected. It's not even a lack of respect, but it's just that he didn't fit our squad. He didn't fit the way we play. Was he a good mindset and mentality to come off the bench and get us over the line in certain games? Was he experienced? Yeah. But now we have opportunities for new players like Bergvall, Archie Gray, Bissouma, Bentancur, who've really grabbed that 6 and made it their own. But every opposite reaction, equal and opposite reaction. This we never stop mentality and theos and the way we play our football is really taking a toll on our injuries. That long list of injuries I just read off. Bergvall can't complete 90 minutes without his hamstrings tightening up. Brennan Johnson doubling over and feeling his hamstring against Aston Villa, but still running to the 96th minute. This way of playing is brutal. It is grueling. I would love to see the running stats for each game and average it up for the season, how many marathons each player runs during the season. Separates the wheat from the chaff. Either you adapt and you rise to the occasion, or you fall off on the wayside and we bring in a new player to replace you. And that's not even harsh. That's not even a personal thing. It's just how we have to operate as a club now going forward. We have to be ruthless. We have to have intention in our actions. And it's good to see players reach new levels. Brennan Johnson, who could barely hit the ball, cross a ball, let alone get a goal, let alone complete 90 minutes, is now one of the most informed wingers in the league. What have you. Madison. Yeah, James Madison. James Mascoigne. Wow. Without a start in the last 3 games, it seems that he's fallen out of favor with Ange Postecoglou, which is crazy because he's a franchise player. He is one of the top earners at the club. He's second in line behind Son for team captaincy. The lad's got himself a custom-built, custom-designed luxury first-class box in his stadium with his painting, his mural, his kids on the wall, his family and his entourage can come watch the games for free, get wine and dine in 69 with caviar and wine and just the elite level of luxury that London has to offer. But right now, he can't get a minute for Tottenham. And that's because I believe that we were in this early business part of the season where we needed an industrious 8 in the field, 8 being the box to box player where he'll get stuck in, he'll put his body on the line, he puts those extra hard yards in. And it's something against Madison. Madison makes those yards up, but he doesn't do it in the same level that like a Bentancur does or like a Sarr does. So we sacrifice a little bit of creativity for some defensive solidity, and we get over the line in these games. Yeah. So that being said, his professionalism was on the line. He did come off the bench and score a worldy free kick. Absolute worldy free kick. No power, nothing, just finesse placement in the top right, leaving Martinez rooted on the spot. But it almost begs the question to ask, where does Ange lie in, where does Madison lie in Ange Postecoglou's plans? Now, don't get me wrong, Madison on his day is world class in the ability to twine, turn, twist, provide crossing, creative outlet in the box. You just look at what he did to Saka last year at the Emirates. You look what he did against Everton. He's good in the 10. But with Dejan Kulusevski playing in world class form and arguably the playmaker of the season now that De Bruyne and Odegaard are out, where does he fit? So quickly here, you look back at his Leicester days and how he excelled out wide in certain scenarios. And almost it makes me wonder now that if we do cancel Bruno's contract in January and we have the young Korean come in, Huk Jun Son or something like that. Shout out, I'm really sorry I don't know his name. That maybe we do see Madison pick up the ball in wider positions and drive into the box because he can't do that. He doesn't have world-class pace, but he does have the ability and fleet of footness to beat his defender and provide those crosses into the box. Maybe he gives Brandon Johnson relief. Maybe he comes in and starts on the left wing for Son when Son needs some minutes off. Or maybe he's just a like replacement for Dejan Kulusevski. Either way, he's sure to start in the Galatasaray game. And that brings us into the Galatasaray game. So let's do a little predicted lineup for Galatasaray. Let's keep it nice and short. Again, I don't think it'd be the end of the world if we didn't get a positive result away in Turkey based on how only the top 8 advance without a playoff round into the knockout round of the Europa League. It doesn't matter how you seed. First doesn't play 8th. You get drawn out of a ball, balls out of a hat kind of thing. So it's random draw. So that being said, as long as we finish in the top 8, we're fine. We're currently sitting 3rd on goal difference, well away from 8th position. So I feel like we can rotate the squad and we want to win every game. But if we didn't have a positive result, it wouldn't be the end of the world. So that being said, let's start with Guglielmo, Vicario, and net. So we'll start with Vicario and net. We'll do a back 4, our standard back 4. We'll have a right back of Porro because he's had limited minutes. He didn't play against City and had a pretty easy game against. Didn't have a lot of effort extended or exuded effort, whatever. He didn't have to exert himself against Villa. So we'll have Porro, and then we'll have a back 2 of Davies and Dragusin. Yeah, and then we'll have Archie Gray as our left back, which scratches my head because I don't see why Spence wasn't included. This is the reason why Spence is in our squad for these games. Hopefully he's added into the Europa League squad come the knockout rounds. But yeah, we did reward Spence with a new contract. So we are honoring his commitment to the club and his overall change of his mindset and how he is now positive and he's committed to the Tottenham project, and which is good because he's still a young starlet and there's tons to bring to the team. So yeah, back 4 of Gray, Davies, Dragusin, Porro with Vicario and net. We'll start with Bissouma as our 6, with Madison and Bergvall as our 8s, and then leaves a front 3 of Will Lancashire leading the line. It would have been Richarlison, but he got injured. Now, what I want to see from Will is I want to see a fearless, aggressive performance where he's going to get bullied by Sanchez. Sanchez has a point to prove. We cast him out to the side. I think he was wrongly abused by the fan base. I thought that Davies and Sanchez was in a tough spot where he was supposed to replace the 2 best center backs in the league in their day of Vertonghen and Alderweireld. And coming from an Ajax squad that was littered with talent, I didn't think we handled his transition into the first team well. I think we kind of just thrusted him in there. And I still remember good games against him, like the game against Real Madrid in the Champions League when he did the back 3. His game against Manchester City at home where we won it 1-0 when we benched Kane and Son got that goal when he was flirting with City. There is games, good games, but unfortunately he does switch off too much. But he's going to give Will Lancashire a hard time. So I'll start with Will Lancashire in the 10. No Son. I don't want Son to play. I don't want him to travel. I think Timo will start on the right. And unfortunately, Moore. When I say unfortunately, I think Mikey Moore is better off to the left than he is on the right. But Mikey Moore is going to start in the right-hand position there. Yeah, so there you go. Timo, Will Lancashire, Mikey Moore leading the line with Madison and Bergvall as our 10s. Bissouma holding them, linking the midfield to the defense, and the back 4 of Gray, Davies, Dragusin, and Porro with Vicario and net. With that team against Galatasaray, who have the support of a country, and you know how the Turkey crowds are, I would be okay with a 2-1 victory or a 1-0. Probably a 2-1. But Davies could just be like elite and really seize this opportunity because he wants to win a trophy with Tottenham like Son. And he could just marshal the back line. We could see a world-class performance by Ben Davies, and we could be 1-0. But I don't predict it being a high-scoring game at all. And finally, ladies and gentlemen, I really have to go here. I have to make some food, unwind, get some sleep in. But leave with the Ipswich game. So I won't talk to you till after the Ipswich game. So I'll kind of get out of the way now. I think the Ipswich game is a must-win game. Forget about Galatasaray, it's the Europa League. Ipswich from Ipswich is a must-win game in the fact that winning this game will solidify this good run of form. And what I mean by that is that Tottenham Hotspur have historically, when it comes to games before the international break or games where they have a chance to make up points on their opponents up above them, or they have these almost like a chance handed to you on a silver plate, we kind of just throw it out the window. It'd be the most Spursy thing to beat Villa and lose to Ipswich at home. Dr. Tottenham showing up and handing Crystal Palace their first points of the season. Dr. Tottenham letting them into the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium and stealing a point. Even a draw would not be enough. We need to go out and win this game. And that's that. When I say solidify our position, it also solidifies the good work mentally, where it gives our players a boost where they can go on to the international break. For those who aren't representing the country, have a couple of days off and really bask in the rewards that winning gives you. And when I say rewards that winning gives you, is that shout out Zlatan Ibrahimovic. If you don't know him, get to know. I just recently watched him at Hot Ones, that challenge video where you eat the wings, you go 1 to 10, eat the wings, you get interviewed. And now he's taken over at one of the marketing roles and the leadership roles in the boardroom at AC Milan. And he's talking about how he motivates the players and how you get players to become average to champions, and how he says that you rely on this on the adrenaline from fans and winning, and that gets you over the line and that helps you recover. And it's so true. You go out there and you put your nuts on the line and you get absolutely killed. Your knees are hurting, your back's hurting, you've got no air in your lungs, you're sore when you wake up, you sore when you go to the changing rooms, you sore when you train. You do the cold plunges, you do what you got to do, but you're still a professional athlete and you're putting your body through hell. When you win, that all goes away. It's still there. But the reward from victory is healing, it's life changing. That's why people fight and are ready to die for it. Because there's only one winner. And at this level of the game, it means everything. So winning against Ipswich will make this whole last month worth it. The players will be able to go away, recover in a good mindset. So we need a win. That being said, I think Romero's injury is actually a blessing in disguise. I'm actually kind of grateful in a way that we have Romero missing this game, because when we have Romero leading the line, I don't think it's a theory. I think it's fact that when he's healthy and he knows he's going away to Argentina, he kind of steps down a couple of gears because he doesn't want to risk injury, therefore missing that lush, luxurious Argentina experience that I alluded to, where he is the Hollywood figure. He gets the fine steaks, the maca, the ladies, no, he's married, he's got a kid, but the superstar experience. He doesn't want to miss that through injury. I think through history there are players that are country before club, and I think that's Romero. And I mean, who wouldn't be in his scenario? You're playing with Lionel Messi. You've just won a World Cup. You're arguably the best center back in the world when you play for your national team. But now we're trying to reach new levels with Tottenham. We're trying to win a trophy. We're trying to get that monkey off our back. We're trying to establish a dynasty of winning under Ange Postecoglou. You need all hands on deck. You need your mind in the game. Christian Romero missing against relegation Ipswich at home is not the end of the world. Radu Jagerson is going to be more than capable enough to come in and fill in his shoes. Daddy Benjamin Davies is going to come and lead our line. We win at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, 3-0. And we go into the business end of the season, this busy holiday period coming up here, which is going to happen faster than we realize, folks. We got a couple easy games that we're going to breeze through, and then we're going to hit the Liverpools. We're going to hit the Uniteds in the Cup. We're going to hit the FA Cup first round. It's going to happen here sooner than we think. Ladies and gentlemen, it's almost December of 2024. Ange Postecoglou has been here for 14 to 16 months now. Time flies. We can't waste any more time. We need to do business in January. We need to do the business now. Galatasaray is next. Let's keep this train going. All right. Thanks for listening. Again, any questions or comments, just leave them below. Belgium Hotspur, it was great meeting you. We'll get you here talking on a live stream eventually when I start doing live streams. Any questions, just drop them in. Give me a follow on my socials. I'll put them in the description. But yeah, peace and love. Love you all. Thank you so much. Come on, you Spurs.